Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mental Health Awakening. And in today's episode, me and Angela are joined with Kimberly, and today's topic is self-love, a sister, and with mental health while living with a chronic illness. So, yeah, I think it's a really good topic today. So over to you, Angela.
I'm Angela Jackson, licensed professional counselor in the state of Tennessee, national certification in the USA, a partner of the UK. Glad to be here. So excited about the topic. I do believe that self-love and mental health go hand in hand. I'm excited to hear from our guest today.
Yeah. And over to you, Kimberly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly. I'm 25 years old, and I have multiple autoimmune diseases and a chronic illness, and I'm a dog mom.
Yeah, it's good. I'm like it's gonna be a really good conversation, I think, today, because self-love is important. Isn't it, Kimberly?
It's super important, and it's also very hard.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, it is very hard. Depending what kind of person you are, if you're the kind of person that looks out for others, it's hard to look after yourself. And I think after, as all of us here do have a chronic illness of some kind.
Yes.
It is. I think we learn that once we get our diagnosis, to look after ourselves more.
Absolutely. I have, oh goodness, it's been 22 years now that I have dealt with Crohn's and self-love, and I often call it self-service. That's a huge part of it. It always makes me think of the time when I was a kid and you would pull up to the gas station and you had two options, either self-service or full service. So full service, everybody thought that was the greatest thing to experience because you had the attendant who would pump your gas, wipe your windows, but there were still some things undone. So when you go to self-service, you can empty the trunk, take the trash out, check the tires, do all of this extra stuff. So that's why I call that self-love and that self-care journey self-service.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I would have never thought of it that way.
Yeah, neither have I really. Like, I know what you mean. Like, it's like you're going to a shop and, like, especially in COVID now, I think they make people do it themselves. I think
That's right.
Like you do it all to yourself. That's hard. I think. Like, it's hard. Like, sometimes it doesn't work, does it?
Hey, that's a great point.
Sometimes it just beeps for minutes.
Yeah, and it like my hospital's kind of turned into that. Like, it's got like cafes in it now, closing shops and self-services a bit. So it's quite changed.
Shall I introduce myself?
Yeah, do you want to talk a bit about, Kimberly, about like how mental health is affected with like self-love?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So the way mental health is affected with self-love is that I did not know of self-love 15 years ago, and I didn't like put myself first, and I realized that's what self-love means to me. It's just setting my boundaries and not having to explain to anyone what I'm going through if they already have some knowledge of it. And I think until I stopped like over explaining myself or making excuses that were unrealistic, that's when I can fully say like I've achieved self-love. And that is especially hard living within a chronic illness. Everyone thinks that self-love is someone perfect, healthy, and everything. And sadly, no, it's not. But I think I'm grateful for the chronic illness because it made me more humble.
Yes, I can agree with that. Definitely. Having a chronic illness, it creates a whole nother journey, and in the beginning, there's a lot of discovery, there's a lot of exploring, and it takes a while to get to that point of acceptance. That's why I like how you said 15 years ago or so, you were not in the same place as you are now with your self-love. So thank you for sharing that part. That's important.
Yeah, because it is a topic it's not talked about a lot. I think self-love. Like I see Kimberly does quite a lot of work for like raising awareness for self-love, and I know Kimberly, you do, I think, isn't it Wisdom Wednesdays? Is it?
Yes, I have a segment on my podcast and on TikTok and on Instagram that says Wisdom Wednesday, and it just talks about something that anyone can gravitate toward, and a little boost of energy during the week.
Yeah, I think that's good, because so sometimes people need that. Like, we have our down days, and while having a chronic illness, we have our good and bad days. So it's good that, like, you do that, and you may not do it all the time, as if you're having a bad day yourself.
Yeah, sometimes, but I feel like the videos that get a lot of people is the ones where I'm like crying, no makeup. I'm super vulnerable, because I know it's crazy. Like, that's what I'm going to be known for. But I mean, I feel like it's a healthy reminder that, I mean, there's so many filters and people Photoshop a lot of the pictures, or most people do. And so I'm proud to say that my page is all authentic. It's all real. The tears, everything, what I'm going through, it's real.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I'm going to have to look into that. And it's great when you come across a person who is authentic, who has developed a level of confidence where they can show up as themselves. You're right. There are a lot of people who still struggle with that. And what happens is it creates this, false sense of whatever it is. And, so people tend to compare. And then what happens is there's a level of self-doubt that's created, because you're now comparing yourself to someone who's using the filters, who's not authentic, who's not, showing the tears. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the thing that kind of follows with social media that definitely impacts the mental health of the people who are watching. So yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that. Like maybe where you were as far as your mental health before you really grasped that self-love.
So at the age of 12, I was diagnosed with Raynauds and scleroderma. And scleroderma is a chronic illness that it affects your body image. But since I was so young, I guess my illness had not fully manifested. And then at the age of 12 is when I was diagnosed with antiphospholipid syndrome, which it's your own body creates blood clots to any part of your body. For me, it was on the part of the brain. So just growing up with scleroderma and Raynauds, with a lot of autoimmune disease, you can look normal, or I should say look average, look like everyone else, but deep inside you're struggling. And that was the case for me. So it was easy to mask the illness. I would just, fake a smile or laugh or come up with some excuse as toward why I couldn't go out. So I think all that got to me as far as I didn't accept who I was. I was always acting normal, but that was not the case. I would try to keep up with everyone and I couldn't. So at the age of 21, after the stroke, I took it as a sign that, God allowed me to have this second life. And I was like, this time I'm going to show up as me. I mean, I think just the amount of family and friends that came to support me, who were there for me, it really helped as far as the mental health. Thanks to them, I felt I felt like the world could see me as the real me. I'm like, so why should I hide this from everyone else?
Wow. I tell you, Kimberly, I'm glad to meet you, one. And then two, if you were not showing up as yourself, then who would be you?
Exactly. Thank you so much. But yes, I mean, one thing that I've always said was there has to be a change with the way social media and disability show up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not the average human being. So, I mean, sadly, a lot of people, I think it's like 1 in 5 people have an autoimmune disease or a chronic illness. So I'm like, that's, being normal is not cool anymore. You have to have something. So that's when I told myself. And that's when I told myself, I'm like, if I want to see a change, I have to be the change.
I like that.
Yeah, I think it's great. Because we're not like this at the start. We don't like start this awareness for no reason. There's always something under why we do this. With our every chronic illness is special. Like everyone has their good things about it and bad things about it. Like anything. But it's good that you offer yourself like a platform for people to even relate to you. And yeah, because like it when you first told me about your chronic illness, Kimberly, I didn't know much about it. Which is good that you told me, and I think told Angela as well, because if people don't know, like even people with a chronic illness that have another one, that you're telling them that what it is and how it affects you, that kind of helps other people, even in the chronic illness community, that thinking, hang on, there's more there's more out there. There's more than just one chronic illness that we have, and yeah, it's all learning, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I feel like you never stop learning. I mean, I don't care who you are, there's always something to learn.
That's right. That's right. Learning is daily. And with the chronic illnesses, it puts us in the position to be the best advocates, because there's always someone who hasn't heard of a certain condition or a certain experience. And even things that we experience, it may be similar to someone else, but there may be an additional factor that's affecting the situation. So it's always great to educate and to share and to bring that awareness to it builds the community. That's what builds the community around the whole advocacy itself. So
yes, that is so true. Yes, it is. And Mason, you don't know how glad I am that I introduced scleroderma to you, because that means I'm doing my job.
Yeah, like because I didn't know what the effects were of it, and it is hard to explain to other people. I think like every chronic illness is like have their different things, but like your one, like especially I think like I had it a while, and like you don't know how people are going to react, but I think a lot of people in the chronic illness community will understand more than other people that don't have a chronic illness themselves. So I'm glad you told me, because I've learned something now.
Yay.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah, so Kimberly, if we go on to talk about your podcast, because you have a podcast as well, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. So when I started my podcast, it was actually Mason. He introduced me to the podcast world. He had asked me to be on his podcast, and of course I said yes. It was my very first one. And so Mason, I always owe it to you of you inspired me to do a podcast, because I knew I wanted to advocate and to reach a higher people. And I feel like a lot of people at the time I was doing just lives and TikToks, and I was like, what about those people that are in a car that sometimes just want to listen to something? So I thought that was the easiest way. And there I met Kaylee. I met him on Clubhouse, another great platform. And that's how the podcast started. I connected with the right people. And I remember I was asking Mason these questions, and it's been great. a lot of my episodes are guests that I met on Clubhouse, on TikTok, even on Instagram. And it's those people that I just feel like every single person that I've interviewed this far, I've met through video, and I just get this authenticity, which is something that I've always wanted to do.
That's awesome. So are there certain tips or suggestions that you share to people who are interested in self-love or maybe are in that place of self-doubt?
So the tip from me would be, honestly, you have to create this mindset of gratitude, because no matter what you're going through, I mean, you're still here, you're still alive. I mean, pain means that we're alive. As crazy as that sounds, but it means, that's what it means. And I'm grateful for the pain versus, a few years ago, I would have been mad and I'd be like, why me? Now I say, what can I do with me? Like, it's just amazing. So I always say, like, start with the mindset of gratitude. And second is, don't play the victim. Like, own up to your mistakes. But I mean, it's a new day, there's only 24 hours in a day. So what can you do on those next 72 hours? I feel like after the stroke, my life changed like this. Like, I thought I was on the top of the world, and then God was like, let's humble this queen. So that therefore then I started to have to depend on people, and I was no longer independent. I had to relearn how to talk because I lost my speech. I had to relearn how to walk because I was in a wheelchair. I mean, I got that reminder that, like, yes, life could be great, 12 hours before, and then your life can change completely. So always be grateful, always have that reminder of what can I do that will change. I mean, I just think self-love. Oh, and my last tip would be, don't compare yourself, because self-love is that you can walk into a room and not have to compare yourself. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh my God. Can you edit that out? Because I lost my train of thought.
I think, like, what you're saying is, Kimberly, it's just to be yourself, isn't it? Like, when you're when you're having good and bad days, isn't it? Like, yeah, like, I think like saying that, like, I think, like, with brain fog, I think it's quite affected by every chronic illness, I think. So it's normal. Like, even I have that sometimes. Like we lose our thoughts, and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's just part of it.
I can agree with that. I posted one day, people, you see it in different places, but when it really happens, you walk in one room and you stop and you're thinking, what am I doing in here?
Yes, that was literally it. I mean, most of my interviews, like, I can do that, but I'll edit them out. But this one, I was like, oh my God, what if he can't edit this out? Like, but, and at the same time, like you said, like, why have to hide it? I mean, that's brain fog, and I feel like that's part of it, like Mason said, and we just have to own up to it,
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine, because, like, it's a good point to come across to, like, even the people listening or watching, because it happens. Like, I've had other guests as well that have brain fog, and even so, it's annoying, isn't it? Because you're thinking you have this thought in your head, or I'm going to do this today, and then you forget, and then it's annoying. Then sometimes it can come back, and then sometimes it can't. But I think it is fine. Like, it can be difficult, but we get through that, don't we?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Kimberly, I was going to say, in the beginning, I mentioned that I'm a mental health counselor, and something that I like to do with my clients in the beginning is to help them identify their strengths, their hobbies, their talents, and things that they like to do. And in my experience, that has been a good foundation for helping people to develop self-love, or to help them rediscover, because maybe they have forgotten and maybe they don't do some of the things that they used to do. And, it's interesting, and I know I don't want to play too much into the pandemic, but the pandemic in some ways caused us to live simpler lives.
Mm-hmm.
It caused us to slow down and rediscover and pick up even new hobbies. Like, for example, I sometimes reference my kitchen garden. I normally I'd be working so hard, moving, making appointments, until I had the opportunity to slow down, and I would save my seeds and I would put them in my kitchen window and I would watch the beans sprout, and normally I wouldn't have time to do those things. So sometimes there are certain talents and hobbies that reflect who you are as a person. And those things can also contribute to self-love. People think of when you hear self-love or self-care in general, people think, oh, I'm going to get my hair done, going to get my nails done. But it's more than that. There's that mental and psychological part of it. There's a social part of it. There's the spiritual part of all of that. And even professional or occupational. How do you take care of yourself at work? Do you take breaks? Are you eating right? Are you, those kinds of things. So there's so many parts of it that, it can't be highlighted enough. So I appreciate what you're doing with your podcast.
Thank you so much. And going back how you said the pandemic. So in 2020, we had came back from going to Mexico. My grandfather had cancer at the time and he's passed away now, but we were grateful for, that we were able to spend it with him before the pandemic. So when we came back about a month later. And can you believe I was in the hospital and I saw everything like happen, because what else do I do in the hospital? Watch the news. And I went in not wearing a mask. And then when I was in there, I was supposed to have a treatment for 5 days. The doctor came in, he said they had to shorten it for 3 days because, we're in a pandemic. And then we went from one day, my parents were with me all day, to, they couldn't come in. It was scary. So, and in a way, I feel like I had a different experience. I was more anxious and I was panicking more than the average person, because I saw, people dying and numbers rising while I was in the hospital. Like, how scary.
Yeah. That is it's something that we all want to avoid. I think it's hard not to, though, when you have a chronic illness that even during a pandemic, we will be in hospital some way or another. If it's for treatment, if it's for some sort of sickness, if we've got COVID, do you know if you've had COVID at all, Kimberly?
Oh, no. I've been lucky enough to, not have COVID. My mother did. But at that time I was getting a treatment, so I was never in the house. And then at the hospital, everyone wears masks. But no, I haven't. I feel like I've experienced like flu symptoms, but I was never diagnosed.
Okay. Yeah, I do know quite a lot of people that have had it, so I just stay away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least I have to stay. Angela, when you had it, you've had it twice, haven't you?
Yes, that's one point. Like, stay away from me.
Yeah. Yeah, in I think the first episode of Mental Health Awakening, we said, didn't we, Angela, that the first episode and the last time you actually came on the podcast, both times you had COVID.
That's right. That's
right.
My
goodness.
It was about a year or so apart, but each time I was just about getting over it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Coincidence.
Yeah. 2021, 2022. So, I actually, the first time I tested positive in 2020. So it was December 2020, kind of crossed over. And then the same thing happened, just this past February.
Oh my gosh, that's scary, but
So
I'm glad. I'm glad you were
yeah,
able to get better.
that's right. Absolutely. And that definitely was a fear for me, knowing that I'm in that population for high risk. So yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm feeling as well as I do, definitely.
Yeah, because you had to stop your treatment for a while as well, didn't you?
I did. I had to stop my treatment. And even when I thought I was going to be able to get it, they still refused to give it to me because it would have increased the possibility of other infections. So, where the medication would suppress my immune system, COVID also affected my immune system. So they were like, we don't want to be responsible for any increases in infection. So, which,
Wow.
yeah, that definitely was a catch when I'm used to getting the treatment every 6 weeks, like clockwork. So that creates a level of anxiety in itself. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, as we speak about this, I spoke to my IBD nurse today. As we're recording today, and because when this goes out, I don't know, I might speak to her today when the episode does go out. But I speaking to her saying about like COVID and everything, and she said that there have been other people in my extremely vulnerable people with Crohn's, and she said that other people who are on quite a lot of treatment, high dose treatment, have been able to survive it, and didn't say about the ones who didn't, because if she did that, it'd be a bit worrying. But yeah, there are people out there that have survived it with low immune system. So it is always fearful though if any of us got it, even multiple times, because especially with not being able to take treatment, because you don't know how that was going to affect you. Like, you're going to get more painful without it. It's hard, isn't it? Like, you don't want it. You don't want to go off the treatment, but you have to in case you build other things on it.
Yeah.
Yes. For me, so I went to the hospital because thought I was gonna lose a toe. And so with my scleroderma and Raynauds, I've lost most all my fingers, like half of them. But then this would have been the whole big toe. So I went in to see my rheumatologist, and he gave me a treatment, like I said, for 5 days. But because of COVID, it got down to 3 days. So it went literally from it went from a day change of where I was in the hospital. My toe was purple. My toe was pink. It was regaining color. It was all done and well. And in a matter of a week, it was black and dying. Usually how my fingers, that would have been my first toe, but my fingers have gone in the past where they've died. And that was just a scary thought, just to think like, I'm going to lose my toe.
Mm. Yeah. That definitely is an adjustment, that's scary, makes you wonder, and it can definitely play on, self-confidence. While we're talking about mental health awakening and the self-love piece, the flip side of that would be, what is it? What are the factors that are playing into your level of confidence or the lack thereof? But that the place where you are now, and I've heard you mention God a couple of times. So it sounds like those things help to motivate you and sustain you during those rough times.
Yes. We are Catholic, and I really got a lot closer, because when I was first diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, we went through a lot of back and forth with my parents, of them thinking there would have been a cure. Now, back then, autoimmune disease and chronic illness were not talked about. So, I think they thought with a certain doctor, we were going to find a cure. And that went on for a few years. And that really affected my mental health, because of thinking I'm going to get better, to then again, your dreams crushing down. And just to think about, like, I really went through, that was really a like a harmful stage, especially because I was going into those preteen years.
Yeah.
You know, and my confidence was just so low. I used to, you know, make an excuse for going out, even if I was tired. When I got to high school for football games, sometimes it was too cold, and just to not like to put myself in the position of, you know what, it is like 65 degrees that night, and you know, with Raynauds, you know, the cold affects you. But I would say I could go even knowing like my health was going to be harmed, because I was a big people pleaser. Like I never liked to make anyone mad, or just thinking that someone's going to be mad at me like ruined my day. And I was a teenager, so I give that excuse. But I just feel like, especially growing up with an autoimmune disease, and specifically those teen years where, you know, everyone compares to everyone, and all these sports and stuff, and it's stuff that you can't do. You know, I'm proud of myself that I found God, and that I now can say like, it's okay, girl, like be proud of you, because back then I wouldn't have.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you made a good point. When, you know, in those teen years, your social life is huge. You know, you're at that impressionable age. You desire to fit in, you desire to build relationships, and your focus, you know, had to be on something else. Or maybe you know, there were those things where you kind of questioned maybe security and friendships and communication, and or the ability to socialize the way you wanted to. So yeah, you're definitely a warrior.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, because like it's hard what we go through. It's not. We don't want people feeling sorry for us, like as we say, but like it's a hobby, isn't it? Like what we do, like to be about mental health,
Oh.
like self-love, chronic illness, all goes into one kind of.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's just part of, you know, sadly having a chronic illness, is that, you know, it's not just the physical aspect, it's also the mental, emotional aspect. So it all plays into having a chronic illness, because like you said, if we tend to lose that self-confidence, and, you know, I'm old, I'm 25. So back then, I remember the top shows were like MTV and, you know, Disney Channel, and they didn't want like fat stars, and it was all these things that would go into your head. So I'm lucky I survived, and I created this life of gratitude.
Mm-hmm. An attitude of gratitude. That's right.
Yeah. Kimberly, I just want to ask, like with your podcast, like it's called Self-Love Assist. Is it Self-Love Sister Podcast? Is that what it's called?
No, it's just called Self-Love Sister.
Okay. Why did you put sister on it? Okay, on the name.
Oh, I did Self-Love Sister because when I was younger, I wanted to, you know, look up people that just like me. I was researching, and I couldn't find anyone except like an older woman who was like 69, who was on like a different level of life. And I wanted to be that change. I wanted to be the older sister that young women, or anyone, like men, whatever, they can come to my podcast and they have a safe space, you know.
It's great. Yeah.
I like that. Self-love sister.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell us about some things you have coming up with Self-Love Sister, or anything live.
Yes. Self-Love Sister. I really want season 2 that starts in October to be more Spanish related, because I speak English and Spanish, and autoimmune disease and chronic illness, like that's nothing new in like the American culture, but it's really not heard of in Spanish culture. They still have that mindset of, you know, go to drink this herbal tea and get cured. Like it's still that mentality, and I feel like there's not enough research or you know, like stuff that people can Google and it comes out. It's nothing like that. So I really want to introduce Spanish in season 2 of Selflove Sister.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm looking
That
forward
sounds
to that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Look forward to that. And with your episodes, Kimberly, like how is it like with your podcast, do you plan how many episodes you'll do, or you just go with the flow, like how many you do like per season? Like how would you do that?
I haven't thought about it. It's just that I've been doing it for a year now, and I feel like, it's time for a change. But I don't even know how many episodes are out. I think there was like 2 months that I just put out 2 episodes during the week, because I only release episodes on Mondays, and Wednesdays it's like the mini like Wisdom Wednesdays. But there's sometimes where I go crazy and I'm just like 2 episodes a week or something like that. I just have fun with it.
Yeah, we got to have fun with it, haven't we? We just go with what you want to do. And like, where can people listening and watching like find you, like what you do, maybe your podcast, maybe your self-love work, right? Where can they say that?
So my podcast is available on all platforms. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If not, you can go to my Instagram, and my link is in the bio. My Instagram is @strong_selflove, and that's the same on TikTok. And you can just click the link and it will take you right there.
Yeah, it sounds good. Like if you want to find Kimberly, hear more about all the wonderful things she does, and yeah, like go and see her. Like she'll do some really good, like she's all about good vibes, aren't you, Kimberly?
I am. I
Yeah.
love it. It's just positivity. I've been blessed enough to not have any negativity on my TikTok and Instagram, knock on wood. But it's been a great, I want to say that the autoimmune disease chronic illness community on Instagram is definitely a positive place. I rarely see any hate.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Like Instagram is a good place to do that. Like it's good that you don't have any hate. I think I'm the same as well. But
Yes.
it's good. It's good. And because I think we've had a really good talk today, like with Kimberly, like it's been about mental health, self-love, chronic illness. I think it's been all a really good talk today.
I loved it. Yes, I had so much fun, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, and before we go, Angela, is there anything else that you want to finish up with?
I just want to say that I'm excited, glad to meet you, Kimberly. You have definitely made an impact on this mental health awakening series. You've brought so much knowledge, so much personal experience, and I can definitely feel the positive energy. I just want to encourage all viewers, all listeners, go follow Selflove Sister.
Yes. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you. And Mason, you already know, whenever you need something, like, I'm just here to support.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kimberly. It's been a really good chat. Like me and Kimberly talk all the time. Like if I go on her podcast, she comes on mine. So we're always there, aren't we?
Yes, we are, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
See ya.